So this was a year ago. Are Halo, Destiny, and Marathon connected? I want to watch this. Let's go ahead and check this video out. See what's going on.
What if I told you that Halo, as we know it, isn't actually real?
What?
What if I told you that Master Chief is so old that he was actually alive in the 90s and will continue to exist through the 2800s and even as far as the early 30th century? What if I told you that everything you know about the Halo universe that I've spent years teaching you is a lie, and that I'm about to spend the next 20 or so minutes absolutely breaking your brain explaining why? Buckle up, my friends, because today we are discussing not one, but two long-lost theories that will fundamentally change the way that you look at Halo. So,
Now I do know a few things. How I know how Destiny is connected to Marathon and Halo. Like, we got the BXR. We basically have like the energy sword, the Forerunner. We that's basically the fucking handgun from Halo. Then the scout rifle, this multi-tool. That scout rifle is from Marathon, and I'm pretty sure we have a few more weapons that are from Marathon. But I want to see how like Halo is. I'm pretty sure there's Easter eggs been right there in front of our face the whole time. But for me personally, I didn't play Marathon, and I didn't really know anything about Marathon. I got into Bungie during Halo, so like their first game, Marathon Mythic, whatever their first game was, I don't know anything about that. I became a Bungie fan during Halo and onward, but finding out about Marathon, that is some good shit. I'm just saying. Now, if you want to support me, like this video, subscribe, and share it, and follow me on Twitch. So I'm always playing all kinds of games, and I love playing games with viewers, and I love to react to stuff that y'all suggest. Now, let's get back into the video.
so let's turn back the clocks to the last millennium. The year is 1999. 3 years have passed since Bungie concluded their revolutionary Marathon trilogy with Marathon Infinity, which was a game that revolutionized the already revolutionary FPS storytelling of Marathon, introducing the concept of alternate timelines and the rewriting of history to Marathon's already complex universe. To cut a very, very long story short, Marathon 1 and Marathon 2 take place in the same timeline, but Marathon Infinity, the third game, takes place in 7 different timelines where you basically try and rewrite the ending of Marathon 2, in which a primordial horror is freed from the sun to run rampant on the galaxy.
What the hell is that?
In the timeline of the game, you finally succeed in preventing this horror, called the Workenkakenter, from escaping its imprisonment.
The Workenkakenter. What am I looking at right now? What is that thing? What is that name? What?
In the sun, but the 6 prior timelines are all considered failed timelines, where the Workenkakenter escapes and basically kills everything. Now, as far as we know, there are only 6 alternate timelines in Marathon Infinity, but here's the problem with introducing the concept of alternate timelines to a universe, whether it's a game or a movie or anything, right? It's like opening the floodgates, because as soon as you prove that alternate timelines can exist in the universe, who's to say that there are only 6? What's stopping them from being 7, or 8, or 9, or 1,000, or 100,000? You see what I mean? And so, when Bungie debuted their next major title, Halo, absolutely plastered with references to Marathon, people started to think that Halo was, in fact, a new Marathon game. Marathon 4, so to speak. And one of the leading theories at the time was that Halo was, in fact, in one of the alternate timelines that Marathon Infinity proved can exist, but that just wasn't in the game. Now, the references and connections to Marathon in Halo that made people think this are quite frankly insane. I mean, there are so many of them that if I were to make a video covering every single one, that would probably be the longest video on this entire website. So instead of covering them all, I'm going to cover about 5 that are core and crucial to this theory. Firstly, the Marathon logo...
Hey, I don't know, sir. What's your name? Hidden X... Sir, whatever. If you want to make those videos, hey, make them into part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, because I would watch it. I don't know about everybody else. You can let me know in the comments. Like, let him know. Like, I would watch that. Just put them in parts.
In Halo, right?
An hour, 2 hours?
I mean, it was on the Autumn. It was next to Key's name tag on his captain's uniform. It was the shape of Guilty Spark's face. Halo's control room was shaped like it. And it was even front and center in the game's damn logo. But
damn, okay.
More important than its presence in Halo was its meaning. Reclaimer, the inheritor of all the foreigners left behind. We'll return to that in a moment, but right now, you are the inheritor of the subscribe button. You are the reclaimer of ringing the bell to ensure that you never miss a future upload. Don't deny your destiny. Hit subscribe right now, or the infection form that's waiting just off camera is going to hit it instead. And trust me when I say that is not something that you want to see. Secondly, Chief and the Marathon Marine are both Mjolnir cyborgs. Granted, not in an identical way. Chief is a cyborg who wears Mjolnir armor, and the Marine is what's known as a Mjolnir cyborg, but I mean, come on, man. And furthermore, both Halo and Marathon are full of references to ancient Greece and also ancient Norse mythology. Thirdly, Chief's AI is called Cortana, of course, and in Marathon, the main character AI, Durandal, constantly recites the ancient French tale called The Song of Roland, about the medieval French king Charlemagne and his military commanders. Charlemagne wielded a sword named Joyous. His nephew wielded a sword called Durandal, and one of his main commanders, Ogier, a sword called Cortana, said to be made of Heavenstone and star stuff, which, you know, is a fancy way of describing what humans are made of. And what's Cortana made from? The brain of a human. Fourthly, Bungie's first ever teaser for Halo that was sent to members of marathon.bungie.org in 1999, the Cortana letters, were written in almost perfect parity with the way that Durandal was written in Marathon. Despite the letters being from this mysterious Cortana who, as I just explained, already had connections to Durandal thanks to her name alone, how she spoke and what she spoke about in these letters was near identical to Durandal as he progressed through rampancy, which incidentally is yet another shared aspect of both Halo and Marathon.
Yeah.
And fifthly, the Yarrow were near identical to the Foreigners in Halo's universe. Basically, the Yarrow in Marathon are a hyper-advanced ancient species who fought an enemy of pure evil. Beat that enemy, but contained it, making it a threat for future species, but as a result of beating it and containing it, vanished, leaving behind their technology for future species and races to inherit. And in Halo, those who were meant to inherit their technology were called Reclaimers, the Foreigner symbol for which is, yes, the Marathon logo. And you know what's funny?
Has Bungie just been making the same game over and over? Because Marathon seems very similar to Halo. And Halo is kind of similar to Destiny. There are a lot of similarities in all 3 games, it looks like. It seems like they've just been trying to perfect that genre. You know, that storytelling. Alright.
Just to go off on a tangent for a few seconds, when 343 took over Halo, at least initially, all the expansions that they made to Foreigner lore only made the Foreigners share more in common with the Yarrow than they already did. The addition of the Precursors, and more specifically, the Primordial, shares a ton of similarities to the Workenkakenta of Marathon. Both were these deeply evil, chaotic,
That's from Marathon?
primordial entities hell-bent on annihilating the galaxy. In Marathon, the Workenkakenta was freed when an ancient Yarrow weapon was fired, destroying its prison. And in Halo, the Primordial was freed when Zeta Halo was fired, destroying its prison. Coincidence? Nah, I don't think so. I think the tinfoil hat stays off for that one. But anyway, getting ahead of ourselves here. Let's get back to Bungie and early Halo stuff. Something else that Halo and Marathon have in common is that they both run like butter on my custom Flood PCs, made in partnership with Apex Gaming PCs. From the Pure Form to the Gravemind and the ultra-powerful Primordial, we've crafted a range of PC builds perfect for all of your gaming needs, no matter the price point. And if you use code HIDDEN at checkout, you can get up to $250 off your order. Link in the description. Right from the get-go, it was clear that Halo was overflowing with references and also logical links to Marathon, and Bungie fans, rightfully so, assumed that there was more to all of this than just developers referencing their previous games. And I mean, how can you doubt them? To say that Bungie went over the top referencing Marathon and also making Halo's story compatible with it would be the understatement of the century. There was no way that this was just a coincidence, especially for a studio like Bungie, who'd already proven that they could write long, complex, and interconnected stories.
Yeah.
And so, despite the game having a totally new name, fans were adamant that Bungie's new Halo was connected to Marathon in some way. But because of how few details were available about the overall Halo universe at the time, people couldn't quite pinpoint precisely how the two were connected. They were just kind of making some partially uneducated guesses. Some people believe that Halo was an alternate timeline of Marathon, where the UNSC Pillar of Autumn was in fact that timeline's version of the UESC Marathon that had discovered an ancient Yarrow ring world instead of discovering Tau Ceti 4, whereas others believe that Halo was a sequel to Marathon, where long after the ending of Marathon Infinity, humanity warred with the Svet and lost, explaining why Bungie called humanity a fledgling species in Halo's marketing. And some even believe that Halo was a prequel, and that the game was based around our first contact with aliens as a species, which, you know what, that's actually quite accurate. Of course, we know now that Halo could only ever be a prequel to Marathon, given that it's set like 200 years plus before the first Marathon game.
Wow, really?
At the time, people didn't have that information. They were just guesstimating based on Halo's very clear and very obvious ties to Marathon's universe. However, despite all of the blatant connections between the two games, Bungie have said that Halo and Marathon are in separate universes. And when they said that, it seemed as if people were just hyperfixating on what were really just some like tongue-in-cheek references that developers of both games put into Halo because they loved Marathon so much and they were so proud of it. So you're probably thinking that's the end of the video, right? I mean, there's nothing else left to see here. Bungie shot the theory down, so what else is there to discuss?
Oh, come on, tell me.
Oh my sweet summer child. That was just the prelude. Bungie confirmed that the two aren't in the same universe, but at no point did they ever say that there weren't any official connections between Halo and Marathon. In fact, I'll have you know, they did quite the opposite. And so it's at this point where I introduce the Eternal Hero Theory and the concept of the hero soul. Now, when you take a step back and you look at the framework of almost all of Bungie's games, a very clear pattern starts to emerge. The way that they treat the player character, and by extension the players themselves, is
Hold on, I know this is random. Oni, oh, I remember that game. I like that game. That was a good game. Bungie did that? That was the Bungie game? So we had Marathon 2.
all of Bungie's games.
Marathon Infinity.
A very clear pattern
Okay, Myth.
starts to emerge.
Myth 2.
The way that they
Oh, so Oni was before Halo, right?
treat the player character, and by extension the players themselves,
okay.
is eerily similar in
Remember
almost
Oni.
all of their games. The player inhabits the body of a badass silent protagonist, designed such that the player can implant their own personalities onto them, and that silent protagonist is also led by an AI, who is considered the main character of the series. The Marathon Marine and Durandal, Tycho and Leela, Master Chief and Cortana, the Rookie and the Superintendent, the Guardian and the Ghost. The atom of the player, so to speak, is designed identically because at the core of every Bungie story is the player. Their main goal is valuing the player above all else and making them feel immersed in the universe that they're playing in. Not through the use of obnoxious animations or gimmicky game mechanics, but by making the vessel that the player inhabits in that universe as similar to their own sense of self as possible. And it's here where the eternal hero theory comes in. So the theory posits that the silent protagonists of Destiny, Halo, Marathon, Pathways into Darkness, and even further back than that, are all inhabited by the same soul. And so, in a way, are actually the same character, just reincarnated in each successive universe. And the theory also suggests that although not being in the same universe, the universe of all of Bungie's games are definitely connected under the almost umbrella of what is called the Bungieverse, which explains why every Bungie game is packed full of references and seemingly uncoincidental connections to other Bungie games. So, let's talk about this theory on a canon level first, starting out with the biggest connection that literally nobody could ever refute. You know why? Because it comes from the mouth of not just the Bungie co-founder, but also the co-creator of Marathon, Alex Seropian. What Marathon players didn't know is that the character that they were playing was the very first incarnation of Master Chief. I don't think you'll ever find that out, but it's the same character. God, we've never said that before, but it's completely obvious. Cortana isn't in Marathon, but there are 3 AIs in there that came from the same stylistic storyline. Now, Alex said that in 2002. Good God, that was a long time ago. And although, yes, a lot has changed since then, that confirms that the Marathon Marine and Master Chief are, or at one point were, the same character. Which, of course, in turn confirms that Marathon and Halo are in the same universe or are connected in some way. But the connections go far beyond this, and to establish these links between universes, we first need to establish a timeline of events in this Bungieverse. Now, although some say that the Bungieverse incorporates literally every game that Bungie have ever made, although there is definitely evidence for that, I do think that the cleanest and most solid version of this theory incorporates 4 main universes. Pathways into Darkness, which is set in 1994, Halo, set primarily in the 2500s, Marathon, set in the 2700s and 2800s, and Destiny, supposedly set in the early 3000s. So, it all starts with Pathways into Darkness. In 1994, an alien envoy comes to Earth, which marks our first contact with extraterrestrials.
Wait, do we actually have a date in Destiny? So it says, he said the early 3000s-ish, around that. Do we actually have a date in Destiny? Like, what year it actually is? Let me know in the comments, because, you know, I love Destiny, but, I mean, I don't know anything about this.
3000s. So, it all starts with Pathways into Darkness. In 1994, an alien envoy comes to Earth, which marks our first contact with extraterrestrials, and warns us about the waking of a dreaming god beneath a pyramid in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. This alien species that comes to contact us are called the Yarrow, and they say that the dreaming god will destroy Earth once it awakens, and so a team of US Army Special Forces go into the pyramid to destroy this god. These aliens, the Yarrow, are the same ancient alien race that existed in the Marathon universe long before the games. They were a highly advanced species whose technology was vastly superior to ours, even in the long-distant future. However, all they left behind were their biomechanical creations. The Yarrow themselves vanished from the galaxy after their war with the ancient primordial horror of the Workenkakenta, who lay waste to their creations before being contained, not destroyed. As we've already covered, the Foreigners in Halo are near identical to the Yarrow in Marathon, by extension the Yarrow in Pathways into Darkness as well, considering Pathways and Marathon are in the same universe. Halo's Spartans are also very similar to the Marine and his kin for Marathon. Both are cybernetically enhanced soldiers known as Mjolnirs, just in their own ways. Then, Destiny comes in, which is set chronologically about 300 to 400 years after Marathon. The final words of the entire Marathon franchise are quite literally, "You are Destiny," which is quite fitting considering that Destiny arguably has even deeper ties to Marathon than Halo does, and also that throughout all of Destiny's development from 2007 until now, Bungie have retained the rights to Marathon, unlike Halo, and so there are no legal real-world barriers that prevent them from linking the two universes together like there theoretically are for Halo. But before we get to Destiny's links to Marathon, we have to go a lot further back in the Bungieverse timeline than Marathon. The foundation of the entire story of Destiny is this war between the light and the dark, a concept that is pulled straight from Myth, Bungie's medieval fantasy game that they released between Marathon and Halo. In Myth, the good guys, the Forces of Light, are led by a group of magicians known as the Nine. Now, the Nine...
What? What? The Nine? What? They come from Myth? Oh my god, bro.
Are a very important group in Destiny's universe. Entities that are created from dark matter who control the realm of unknown space. And so, in a way, are kind of similar to futuristic space magicians, if you will.
Tell me more.
On the other side, the darkness has heavy ties to Marathon as well as Myth. There are entries in Destiny's lore that heavily imply that the darkness could very well be the same entity or the same species as the Workenkakenta. So in Marathon 2, a Svet terminal that talks about the origins of the Workenkakenta says, "In primordial space, timeless creatures made waves. These waves created us and the others. Waves were the battles, and the battles were waves." In a Destiny 1 Grimoire lore card called Battle Made Waves, it says that when Oryx created Crota, he called upon the deep, saying, "I can see you in the sky. You are the waves which are battles, and the battles are the waves. Come into this vessel I prepared for you." In another Grimoire card,
I'm not too convinced right now with that. With the Nine, a little bit more. That's pretty cool. Let me hear more.
the AI Rasputin says that its cousin once told it, "I know who you are," which were the final words spoken by Durandal at the end of Marathon Infinity, which were, in Marathon Infinity, very coincidentally, if you think so, followed by "You are Destiny." In the same card, Rasputin also says, "Long dead, their bodies grafted to powers they and I do not understand," which is also an almost word-for-word quoting of Durandal in Marathon Infinity's ending screen. But honestly, one of the strongest and most purposeful links between Marathon and Destiny's universe is the lore for the exotic SMG, Mida Minitool. So in Marathon's universe, Mida were an extremist pro-Mars terrorist/political group.
Wait. It's called Mida? I'm so used to calling it Mida multi-tool. And the scout rifle, yeah. What I can't remember what this shit's
Story
called
short
right now.
is that
I don't
in
even play with
Marathon,
that
ships
weapon.
called crisps, which are converted from moons, were basically what made the colonization of Mars possible, as they were the only ships that were capable of transporting sufficient supplies and food and water and stuff to Mars for the Martians, the colonists, to survive. However, when these crisps broke down, they took years, if not decades, to fix, and they were very few in number.
Wouldn't be Mida.
This led to extreme poverty and starvation among Mars's colonies, and when the UESC, which is just Marathon's version of the UNSC in Halo, had Mars's moon converted into a colony ship, the Marathon, instead of another Chris to save the inhabitants of Mars from starvation, it sparked a rebellion on the planet, from which Mida emerged. Mida planned to hijack the Marathon before it left for its colonization mission, and in 2472, remember that date, they hid tons of weapons on board. The Marathon's first science director, a man by the name of Bernard Strauss, was also a double agent for Mida, and created and hid 10 Mjolnir battle droids on board to fight for him when the order was given. He also brought his own AI on board as well, Durandal. And then that same year, again 2472, the Marathon left Mars on its colonization mission, with Strauss, Durandal, the battle droids, and the Mida weapons on board. And this is where Destiny's Mida Minitool comes in. Now, the description for this weapon doesn't just lightly reference these events, it literally recites them from somebody else's POV.
Mida.
November 17th, 2472. Strauss is gone. The whole sky alight as the ship set off. I might be the last Mida survivor on Mars. cannot shake the fear that they will send battle roids. Even his AI Marvel couldn't save me. I've been reading the gun's Encyclopedia Arcana, all about the crash that became Strauss's obsession and hope. Metastability in the salvage construct. Let's hope our ideals too can pass through grief, fury, and envy into a new freedom elsewhere. This is literally a retelling of the Marathon setting sail from Mars that also talks about Durandal, the AI Marvel, and references the stages of AI rampancy in Marathon as well. It says grief, fury, envy, and metastability, which translate to Marathon's versions of melancholia, anger, jealousy, and metastability as well. And hell, it even goes as far as using an accurate date that fits the Marathon universe's events. And you know what? If you want to go even further, November 17th, 2472, basically 117. Now, although some games definitely have stronger connections than others, think of this theory as a chain, where each link in the chain is one of Bungie's games that is welded together by the hero soul that inhabits each game's respective silent protagonist. So, although one link doesn't directly connect with another, each link is always indirectly connected to another because it's part of the same entity. The metaphorical chain of the Bungieverse. Because Halo fits into Marathon's universe, that also means that it fits into Pathways into Darkness's universe, and then also the Destiny universe by extension. The more I look at it, the Marathon universe almost seems to be a kind of hub universe for this theory. Each game definitely has connections to another, but I would say that the most connections that each game has are with Marathon. But because of all the similarities, if the universe is compatible with Marathon's, then that means, by extension, it's compatible with all the other universes as well. But putting all of the canonical lore links aside, there is one piece of indisputable proof that proves that the Eternal Hero theory is absolutely correct on a meta level. And that is Bungie's philosophy for designing games. Since their founding, Bungie have made it clear that the true hero of all of their games is you, the player. This philosophy emanates from all aspects of their games, but to me, it's most visible in the little messages that they give the community in their game's credits, and how they address the player as the player character. They're not two separate entities. They address the player and the player character as the same entity. Bungie have always gone above and beyond to thank their players for being the core of the universes they create, the driving force of the universe, because at the end of the day, we are the souls they create their silent protagonists to hold. We are the souls that give those silent protagonists character, that carry them through their journeys and make them the legends that they are in their respective universes. The Eternal Hero isn't some universe-hopping spiritual entity. It's us. And the hero's soul that's responsible for some of the most legendary acts in all of the known universes is our soul. Why? Because to Bungie, the player was always the true hero. And that is the long-lost Halo and Marathon and Destiny and Pathways into Darkness and myth theory. Do you buy it, or do you think it's just a load of references that people have taken to mean a lot more than they actually do? Let me hear your thoughts on the Eternal Hero theory and the idea that Halo might just be a Marathon Infinity timeline, or Marathon 4 technically, in the comments down below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this absolute tinfoil hat tier theory. If you did, then make sure you subscribe and also leave a like and the typical stuff down below. And with that said, let's round the video out there. I want to give a massive thank you to all of my amazing patrons for the continued support over there.
Give him a like. I'm going to like this video, and I'm actually going to subscribe to him. I'm going to put this in chat, so go give him a visit. Give him a visit. I like that video a lot, and I don't think it's. I do think all these games are connected, especially Halo and Marathon with Destiny, because we have quite a few Halo weapons in the game, and we actually find like on one mission like a pod that could be a reference to Master Chief. It is so many, like, I don't know, like, I would love to see a Marathon and Destiny, like, have a crossover or something, like, in the future, since Bungie owns those two franchises right now. Like, they don't own Halo, so they can't really do anything with Halo. Besides, we got the battle rifle, but it's not called the battle rifle. We got the energy sword, but it's not called the energy sword. But we know what they are. But sounds like they can take stuff. Of course, it's their property. They can take stuff from Marathon and just put it in the game. So I hope in the future, like, I would love to kind of see like Destiny stuff in Marathon, and I would love to see more Marathon stuff like skins, armor sets from Marathon in Destiny. Be so fucking awesome. I mean, we got weapons, but I would like to see more. Oh my god, I don't know why. I think I like Bungie. I know we don't have the same people like back in the day, like Halo 1, 2, and stuff from Marathon Myth. We don't have those people anymore, but hopefully, like, I don't know, man. I still want to believe like new Bungie took some stuff from old Bungie. I just hope like they just learned a little bit from them. But yeah, go give him a like, watch his video, subscribe to him if you want, and leave me a like if you like my videos and want to see more, or leave dislike, whatever. Subscribe and ring that bell for more videos, and let's talk about Marathon, Destiny, Myth, all the Bungie franchises, and the new Marathon game. Cause I think, man, I hope it's good. We're going to see the gameplay trailer tomorrow. I won't be here though, by the way. I won't be here tomorrow. I have to work all day. But yeah, like I always say at the end of the video, ladies and gentlemen, have a good day or night whenever you're watching this. Peace.